I'm Rex Rogosh, and let's queer up gay culture. New GLAAD report says Pride 2025 among most dangerous ever. A new report from GLAAD shows Pride Month 2025 was one of the most dangerous periods for queer Americans in U.S. history. The media advocacy group documented 268 anti-LGBTQ+ incidents in June 2025 alone, a nearly 400% increase compared to recent years. Overall, GLAAD tracked more than 1,000 incidents nationwide in its annual extremism report, published Tuesday, January 27th. Through its alert desk, GLAAD recorded 128 acts of vandalism, 78 violent assaults, 22 threats of mass violence, and 15 arson attempts. More than half of all incidents targeted transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people, marking a 10% rise from the previous year. States facing intense political battles over LGBTQ+ rights, including California, Texas, Ohio, New Hampshire, and Washington reported the highest numbers. California alone saw 198 incidents in 2025, the most of any state. GLAAD President and CEO Sarah Kate Ellis blamed political rhetoric and policy decisions across party lines. Ellis urged Americans to stand together, saying the public should, quote, refuse to accept a country where our neighbors fear for their safety, end quote, calling for united efforts against queer violence and harassment. GLAAD encourages anyone experiencing anti-LGBTQ+ violence or harassment to report it through its alert desk. So, I hate to say this because I keep having to say this, it doesn't surprise me that we're seeing numbers go up, regardless if these numbers are not the full story or if they're exaggerated because people are calling things in. The fact that the numbers are going up is alarming in general. We are already seeing prides across the nation being canceled. Right. The 2026 Pride in Arizona. Tucson just got dismantled. I mean, we're having issues with Naples Pride. Yeah. We've had issues with Fort Lauderdale Pride, over concerns and all other sorts of things. But still, this is something that is alarming in general. And, coupling that, we all kind of have these conversations, coupling that with everything that's happening with ICE and all of that. Right. Now we're sitting now we're sitting ducks for things. So it's just, it's alarming. And, the whole see something, say something, fortunately and unfortunately, we live in what I call the gay bubble in Wilton Manors, and most of the time we don't see a lot of this stuff happening because we are in a gay bubble, but it's creeping up on us, right? There's reports of ICE and there's reports of raids, and we've seen the people doing burnouts on our streets.
Yeah, it's come here.
It's starting to come here. So again, I hate to say that it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. This doesn't surprise me.
But what surprises me is that this is a new report. I'm surprised and a little dismayed that this is the first that we're hearing about this more than 6 months after Pride Month 2025.
And we're gearing up. I mean, we just had our first Pride
season. If anything, this should be a warning to us to be extra vigilant, be aware, especially because since Pride season officially started here with My Hollywood Pride just this past weekend, again, be on guard, be aware. I know this is not a good suggestion. Don't be too, buzzed or whatever, otherwise occupied.
Be aware yourself.
And don't be looking at your phone. Look around. Look at your surroundings.
Those are all good points. And there has been from actual experts, there has been clear documentation of increased incidences of hate and harassment.
Absolutely.
GLAAD is not a group with a background in this sort of research. And I did have to look at both their report and other groups to compare it to because it was a very odd methodology. Because for those that don't, GLAAD, they're known for a media awards event and for a CEO who gets
Alliance Against Defamation, right? Isn't that
no, this is the gay and lesbian.
Yeah, GLAAD. Isn't that
Is it that? It's the two ways. It's the one that does the media. Yeah, they do the media awards, and their CEO gets treated like a celebrity by their board with a lot of fancy things. So, I didn't think, I'm used to thinking as someone who's, is a research director, and, I've done LGBT hate crime studies with Media Matters, I never think of GLAAD to do these.
This is more of a task force thing.
Well, not just the task force, but the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Williams Institute are much more qualified So I looked at this and I looked at their reports to figure it out. And one, their methodology was very vague, which is very unusual. I'm used to much more put it together. But also, they're only showing 1,000 instances. It's self-reported, which is very speculative. And like the thing that they documented and they singled out the specific case of the Westboro Baptist Church, which we all would assume is like, oh, that's practice. They protested that they didn't like the governor of Colorado, so they went to the state house to protest. I'm like, I don't think that's a hate crime. But you know who does monitor hate crimes is the FBI. They found 2,000 LGBTQ hate crimes last year and 500 trans cases.
The fact that they actually keep tabs on it, given the climate,
they might no longer do that for trans people specifically. But like, there's also the issues. So that means when we know of actual documented cases of hate, about 1 in 5 is trans-related. I'm not trying to minimize it. Right. I'm saying GLAAD is doing a very half-done, they don't have the right background research, making a very bold statement that
would the FBI share that information with an organization like GLAAD?
They publish it every year. And that's how the Southern Poverty Law Center was able to do that.
And that's why I said, these numbers are not surprising. And we know that, most numbers that are out there, I mean, when we're talking about anything, hate crimes, suicide, deaths by, alcohol, whatever, we can only go by what's reported. And there's, we all know that probably 1 in 5 don't get reported, right?
Actually,
so the numbers are probably...
But who's going to know to report to a LGBTQ media advocacy
They're not,
group?
but
that's a very weird thing to report to them.
And also, instead of doing like stats on hate crimes, which we have plenty of because of other organizations, why not talk about LGBTQ erasure from popular culture or from sports, from culture, from other things that LGBT visibility matter? But now, for example, NHL several teams have pulled Pride Night, NFL, part of the NFL.
And GLAAD is very good at monitoring media stuff. They have a good reputation because that's what they're known to do. And I just see this report, and it just feels like a nonprofit trying to like get some donor to donate to something.
I mean, if that's the case, like I said, we don't know the full scope of it. However, it is something that needs to be talked about. So honestly, I don't care if it's McDonald's or GLAAD reporting that the numbers are up there. It at least starts the conversation.
Yeah, it's being reported.
But I hear you. But like, if I just taken 20 minutes this morning could start picking apart this report, what do you think a right-winger trying to make it sound like there aren't any trans attacks? Well,
they're going to do that regardless.
But we don't need to give them ammunition.
They make their own, unfortunately.
And to be honest, California, Texas, Ohio, New Hampshire, and Washington, that seems to be a weird collection of states. I mean, California, biggest states. No question.
Aren't they very based in California? So I'd imagine they get a lot of reporting from California.
Texas, obviously, very red. Ohio, very red.
Make Florida very jealous.
But New Hampshire is more of a libertarian thing, and Washington State is pretty blue. Well, except Eastern Washington, which is like Nazi land over there. But Florida doesn't get...
if you look at like the Southern Poverty Law Center, when they do all the different hate groups, it doesn't necessarily connect to particular policies. Like Massachusetts is known for having a very active Nazi organization, for pity's sake. I don't think of that as the birthplace of Nazism in America.
No, actually,
I mean, like I said, unfortunately, we have to talk about these things, and as we said, stay vigilant. If you see something, say something, because that's the only way that more people will be notified and aware of what's going on out in the world. So there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.